What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows. If it's geeky, if it's nerdy, I love to talk about it here. Right now, I want to give you guys my review of the Netflix original film, The Old Guard. Now, The Old Guard stars Charlize Theron, who has kind of created a little niche for herself as an action hero in action films. And The Old Guard definitely fits that model. You know, it's very much, it's almost a superhero movie. It's not a superhero movie. Don't think the LQ said that this was a superhero movie. But in a lot of ways, it has the superhero formula. Whereas you've got people who have great abilities, extraordinary abilities, who are doing good for others, and they're using those abilities to do good, and then they come up against a force that is designed to take them out. A villain. Boom. Superhero movie, superhero formula. That's what you get here. So the Old Guard is about a group of immortals, and they're not really immortal. They're not really immortal, but for all intents and purposes, for what we're talking about here, they're immortal. A group of immortals who have been fighting alongside each other for centuries to do good things around the world. When people with power in society learn about them, they want to capture them to exploit their powers. I mean, it's really nothing that we haven't seen before. But I gotta tell you guys, The Old Guard is a really good movie. I was really impressed by how much I liked it. And honestly, I didn't think I would like it, because it seemed very generic to me. When I was watching the trailers, when I read a little bit about it, it seemed very generic. The action seemed a little generic, and the plot seemed a little generic. I was thinking like, we just had that Netflix movie Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, which wasn't really very good. It had great action, but the movie itself wasn't great. I was thinking, okay, we got Extraction meets Highlander. That's what I was thinking we was going to get, Extraction meets Highlander. And in some ways, that's an accurate description, but it's really a lot more than that. So the movie involves Charlize Theron's group taking in an Afghanistan vet named Niles, or Nile. Is it Niles or Nile? It's Nile. No S. This former soldier who she fought in Afghanistan, and they find out that she's immortal. And they take her on, and it's very much her story just as much as it's Charlize Theron's story. In some ways, it's the end of Charlize Theron's story with this group. And it's also the beginning of Niles' story with this group. And you're seeing kind of a passing of the torch. And I don't think that spoils anything to say that, but in some ways you're seeing a passing of the torch from one character to another as far as The Old Guard is concerned. And I like legacy stories. I like legacy movies. And in some ways, even though this is only the first entry, in some ways it's a legacy story. It's about this person who's been fighting for centuries, leading this group, fighting for centuries to do good things, passing the torch to somebody else who is new. And that's fun. Charlize Theron is great in this. She's very physical, emotes the right emotions, a lot of pain, a lot of sadness. And, that's something that they talk about a lot in any movie about immortals. Obviously the Highlander movies, they talk about this, how being immortal is a curse. It's filled with pain. It's filled with sadness. It's filled with, not being able to get close to anybody because everybody that you love, you sit there and you watch them get older and die, and then you've got to go on without them. So this definitely touches on that. But this movie also touched on a horrifying reality of immortality that I'd never even considered. And I'd have to go back and rewatch the Highlander movies. It's been years since I've seen the Highlander movies. I remember I really liked the first one. I hated the second one. And then the rest of them were just okay, right? So I'd have to go back and rewatch them because I don't remember the Highlander movies ever touching on this frightening reality of immortality. But they feared more than anything getting caught. Because one of them met a very horrifying experience when she got caught. And this was something, when they told the story of somebody in their ranks who met this horrifying experience when they got caught, I had to pause the movie and just decompress a little bit, because that was horrifying to me. So many of my fears were wrapped up into this one fate that this immortal had, but it was never ending. And oh man, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. So it definitely brought about a reality of immortality that I'd never even considered. What does it mean to get captured? What could reality be if you get captured? And that was horrifying. That was horrifying to think about. But the action was top notch. There was a couple of instances where it was a little over the top, but it was also, I thought Extraction, the violence was a little over the top. This wasn't Extraction level over the top. This was well done, well choreographed, and more along the lines of, more along the lines of John Wick than some horrible gore fest that. I sound like such a prude right now. I like horror movies. I like gory movies, but sometimes excessive gore in action movies kind of take me out of it. I gotta be honest. Extraction, it took me out of it a little bit because I became more focused on the gore that was occurring rather than the action that was happening, and that didn't happen here. This was very well done, and it was fun to watch. And there was definitely moments of heightened awareness, joy, where you feel the danger that they're in. You feel the heightened level of anxiety that they're in. You feel all that, but you're having fun watching it. Nothing that you're feeling ever made you stop having fun watching it. So, yeah, I gotta tell you guys, The Old Guard was very good. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, but I really did like it a lot. It was a little bit too long. It clocked in around 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was a little bit too long. There was a couple scenes where I got a little bit bored, some exposition scenes where I got a little bit bored, and they really tacked a lot on there. There was a lot of story that they told in those 2 hours and 10 minutes, and some of that I felt could have been saved for a later installment. And there's gonna be a later installment. They set it up for a sequel. There was even almost it wasn't a post-credit scene, but it was a tacked-on scene at the end. It's set up for a sequel. The story itself was a rather self-contained story, but then at the end, after they told their self-contained story, they went off on a side road to set it up for the sequel, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody wants a franchise now, and Netflix has several of them. So, yeah, there's going to be a sequel, and I'm curious to see, especially seeing that tacked on scene at the end. I'm curious to see what direction they take that sequel in, and especially considering what happened to some of the characters near the end of the movie, especially Charlize Theron's character. What will they do with her in the next installment? Considering some of the stuff that happened to her here. It'd be very entertaining to say the least. But good movie. Very surprised that I liked it as much as I did. It took me probably 10-15 minutes to really dial into it, but once I was dialed in, I was hooked, and I really enjoyed it a lot. So give it that time. Don't be a 5-minuter and then, well, I'm not interested, I'm turning it off. If you really give it that 10-15 minutes, I really think you'll be dialed into this as well, and I really think you'll like it. So for me, The Old Guard gets an A-. Solid flick, a little bit long, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, but I'm just one person. I'm one flawed human being who maybe has no idea what he's talking about. So what did you think of The Old Guard? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you so much for joining me here at VLQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.